If you've got 100 Sol sitting in your wallet right now, you seriously need to watch this before 2026 is done. I'm not kidding. Those same 100 coins could quietly turn into something way, way bigger than almost anybody expects at this moment. Yeah, like way bigger. And this isn't some pumped up hype video. This is actually lining up with real stuff going on behind the curtain. Solana's literally at one of those massive fork in the road moments. A handful of key things fall into place the right way, and boom, its whole future looks completely different. Once you start connecting all the dots, man, the picture changes fast. All right, let's look at where we actually are today. Solana's hanging around the $90 mark right now. Not too long ago, it was flying way higher. Then it got smashed pretty hard. And these days, it's just kind of clawing its way back up slowly. This exact phase is where most people get totally lost and start second-guessing everything. When the price is mooning, everybody's a genius, right? Confidence through the roof. But when it pulls back like this, that's when the doubt creeps in. Some folks go, "Aw, man, maybe it's cooked." Others see blood in the water and think, "Wait, this might be the spot." Truth is, this is exactly when the smart moves get made, not when everything's already ripping vertical. So quick math, if you're holding 100 Sol today, you're looking at roughly $9,000. Not pocket change, but also not quit your job tomorrow money. The million-dollar question is, what does that stack turn into by the end of 2026? Does it creep up nice and steady for a solid, respectable gain? Does it straight up explode and blindside almost everybody? Or does it just chill sideways in the mud while a bunch of other coins steal the show? All three of those are legit on the table right now. And here's the thing, which one actually plays out isn't random luck. It comes down to what really happens next, the macro market, what the big institutions are quietly doing, what the charts are whispering, and most importantly, what's actually shifting and upgrading inside Solana itself. So forget guessing or tossing out hype numbers for clicks. Let's pull up the real data, the serious analyst calls, the institutional moves, the technicals, and the on-chain stuff that actually matters. When you put all that together, trust me, the future of those 100 coins starts looking a hell of a lot clearer. Do you know that feeling when Solana crashes, and deep down you know it's probably a buying opportunity, but you just don't have enough cash to do anything about it? That's actually one of the biggest frustrations in crypto. You see the opportunities, but without extra cash flow, you can't really take advantage of them. That's exactly why I created a program called Crypto Channel Accelerator, where I explain how to build a highly profitable, automated crypto YouTube channel. Inside, I break down a simple model for building a faceless crypto channel in a way that's actually realistic to execute. You don't need to show your face or build some complicated production setup. The focus is on creating clear, beginner-friendly videos explaining well-known crypto projects that people are already actively searching for on YouTube. The program is specifically built around the crypto niche, which makes it very different from generic YouTube courses that don't understand how this space actually works. That kind of channel can soon turn into an additional income stream, which makes it much easier to keep growing your crypto portfolio instead of just watching opportunities pass by. At the same time, by creating these kinds of videos, you're also helping educate new people about crypto and contribute to wider adoption, which is something the whole space benefits from. If you want to see exactly how the system works, check the link in the description or visit michaelinvests.io. It's actually an ideal time to start building a channel now and position it before the next bull run, because that's usually when attention, traffic, and opportunities in the crypto space really start accelerating. Okay, let's get the tough one out of the way first, the low-case scenario that feels kinda depressing, but it's real and we have to talk about it. This isn't Solana crashing and burning completely. It's more like it just kinda coasts. Doesn't flop, but doesn't deliver the moonshot hype either. By the end of 2026, in this version, Solana's probably chilling around the $140 mark. So if you've got those 100 Sol, you're looking at roughly $14,000 total. That's still a win, you're up from today's roughly 9,000 US dollars. But let's be honest, it's nothing wild. No quitting the job vibes, no life-changing stack, just a modest bump. Why does this play out? Super straightforward reasons. First off, adoption just slows way down. For any crypto to really take off, you need a flood of new users, killer apps, and actual money pouring in. If that momentum fizzles and growth crawls, price crawls too. Second, the competition heats up big time. Ethereum keeps leveling up, other chains are getting faster and cheaper. If devs and users start drifting over there instead of sticking with Solana, demand for Sol stays meh, and price follows suit. Third, and this one's been Solana's Achilles heel forever, those network hiccups and outages. They've happened before, and if they keep popping up even occasionally, serious money gets scared off. People think twice before betting big. Bottom line, no total disaster, but no fireworks either. Just a slow, grinding sideways to slight up move. Meh returns instead of the breakout everybody dreams about. All right, flipping to the more grounded take, the one that lines up with a bunch of actual analyst calls out there. Stuff from places like Benzinga and panels on CoinCodex are pointing to Solana landing somewhere between 250 and 300 US dollars by the end of 2026. That feels spot on for this balanced middle path. Here's how it shakes out. First, Solana keeps growing, but steadily, not explosively overnight. More folks jump on, more solid apps get built. You see real activity ramping in DeFi, payments, maybe even some AI stuff tying in. Nothing viral crazy, just consistent month after month progress. That's the kind of growth that actually sticks and supports price over time. Second, those old network issues, they don't vanish completely, but they don't turn into a headline nightmare again. The chain stays stable enough that people trust it with real money. Trust is actually capital staying put. Third, competition's still fierce. Ethereum's not going anywhere. Other chains keep innovating, but Solana holds its ground. It doesn't dominate the world, but it doesn't fade into irrelevance either. It just keeps doing what it's killer at: super fast transactions, dirt cheap fees, and an ecosystem that's quietly expanding. On the money front, institutions don't go all in bananas, but they keep trickling in with steady buys. No massive spikes, just consistent inflows. That slow, boring capital is actually way healthier for long-term sustainability than pump and dump vibes. Put it all together and you don't get an insane vertical pump. You get a solid, believable climb. Your $9,000 today turns into somewhere between $25,000 and $30,000 by end of 2026. Not retire tomorrow money, but real, gradual gains as the network matures and the market finally gives it the respect it deserves. And now the aggressive upside, where some analysts are saying, hold up, if everything clicks, this thing could rip way past those levels. In this case, Solana blasts through 400 US dollars and maybe keeps climbing higher. Your 100 Sol? Suddenly you're staring at 40,000 US dollars or more. This doesn't just magically happen though. It needs a perfect storm of a few big catalysts firing at once. First, adoption doesn't just tick up. It straight up accelerates like crazy. We're talking way more everyday people actually using Solana for real stuff, not just speculating. Apps launching left and right, transaction volume exploding, daily use cases taking over in payments, AI integrations, whatever, demand for Sol shoots through the roof. When demand outpaces fixed supply that hard, price moves fast and furious. Second, the big boys finally pile in properly. Not tiny retail drips or hype waves, we're talking serious institutional money, hedge funds, maybe even ETFs getting approved, or big accumulation going on quietly. When that wall of real capital hits, it doesn't tiptoe, it shoves the market higher. Third, and this is the secret sauce, momentum kicks in hard. Once price starts ripping, FOMO hits. More eyes on it, more buyers rush in, which pushes price even higher, creating that classic virtuous cycle. Up lead to attention, which lead to more up and in turn more rinse and repeat. That's exactly how crypto's made its wildest runs historically. Not slow grinds, but explosive waves. So yeah, strong adoption plus institutional firepower plus self-feeding momentum all stacking. Your 100 Sol doesn't just grow, it multiplies into something legitimately huge, way quicker than most folks are bracing for right now. Alright, so the big question now is, what actually has to line up for Solana to jump from that realistic $25,000 to $30,000 zone for your 100 Sol, all the way up into the bullish 40,000 plus territory? It ain't random luck, man. There are real triggers that flip the switch, and when they start stacking, prices move for good reasons. The number one biggest one? Institutional money. This is the heavy-hitting cash that doesn't chase TikTok pumps or Reddit moons. It moves early, quietly, and in serious size. And dude, we're already seeing the early signs right now in March 2026. Spot Solana ETFs, those exchange-traded funds, have been pulling in consistent inflows. Not some one-off spike, but steady days and weeks of money flowing in. We're talking millions here and there, like recent single-day nets of a couple million US, up to bigger ones in the teens or 20s of millions dollars on hot days. Total inflows since launch have hit around 1.5 billion US, or more in some reports, even with the price dips. Big players like Bitwise, Grayscale, Fidelity, they're stacking positions. Why does this matter so much? Because when institutions start buying an asset like this, it completely changes the game. These aren't retail dudes grabbing a few Sol on an app. These are funds, big allocators, pension money, the works, building positions over months, not days. They accumulate slow and steady. That creates real upward pressure. More demand sucking up available supply means less floating around for sale, so prices get pushed higher over time. It might look boring at first, no crazy green candles every hour, but behind the scenes, the foundation's getting rock solid. And once that base is locked in, that's when the bigger, more sustained moves kick off. And this ties right into the next massive piece, those Solana ETFs themselves. Right now, if a regular investor or big fund wants Sol exposure, they've got to mess with crypto exchanges, wallets, keys, all that hassle. For a lot of traditional money, especially institutions or retirement accounts, that's too much friction. They just won't bother. But a spot ETF? Boom! It turns Solana into something you buy like any stock. Through your normal brokerage app, Robinhood, Fidelity, whatever. Even inside IRAs or 401k plans, no crypto headaches. That's when the floodgates open. You're not just tapping crypto natives anymore. You're unlocking a way bigger ocean of capital. Everyday investors, financial advisors, massive funds. We've seen this movie before. When Bitcoin and Ethereum spot ETFs got the green light, inflows didn't just happen once. They kept coming, slow, then steady, then huge. It gave those assets way more legitimacy and real price support that lasts. Now picture the same playbook for Solana. Those spot Solana ETFs already launched back in late 2025, October-ish, and they're live and trading now in 2026, with multiple issuers like Bitwise, Van Eck, Fidelity, Grayscale, and more. Inflows are already rolling in consistently, despite some price chop. If this momentum keeps building, and it looks like it is, it's not about a quick pump and dump. It's about a brand new, massive demand channel opening up. When that access hits, demand can spike hard and fast. Game changer territory. Okay, one more huge thing that flies under the radar for a lot of people, but it matters way more than any candlestick chart right now. What's actually being fixed behind the scenes on Solana? Real talk, Solana's rep hasn't always been spotless. People roasted it for network outages, stability glitches, and how it handled heavy load in the past. And yeah, those complaints were fair. Nobody wants their chain going down during a bull run. But here's what's different in 2026. those exact pain points are getting hammered out. Big upgrades like Alpenglow are rolling in, approved by the community back in 2025, with mainnet deployment expected early to mid this year. This is a massive consensus overhaul, replacing old proof of history and Tower BFT stuff with new systems like Votor for voting and finality, Rotor for data flow, that could slash transaction finality down to like 100 to 150 milliseconds. That's insanely fast. Think 80 times or 100 times improvement in confirmation times. We're talking direct fixes to how the network reaches agreement, handles stress, avoids slowdowns or halts. The old weak spots being attacked head-on. Why is this a big deal? In crypto, trust is literally everything. If folks think the network's flaky, devs won't build serious stuff on it, users won't risk real money, and big investors stay away. But as these upgrades land and prove out, confidence comes roaring back. Devs build more comfortably. Users feel safe transacting. Institutions take it way more seriously. It's not flashy, new meme coin launcher, features. It's removing the biggest red flags people had. And once those doubts fade, adoption snowballs naturally. That's the quiet power move happening right now. And man, this next change is probably the single biggest reason folks are finally starting to take Solana seriously again. Back in the day, a ton of the buzz and volume on Solana came straight from hype. Meme coins exploding left and right, people flipping quick trades, jumping in for fast gains. That stuff can rocket the price up short term, but it never sticks around forever. Hype fades, volume dries up, and price usually tanks with it. But right now, in March 2026, things are shifting for real. The spotlight's moving away from that pure speculation vibe and toward legit, everyday use. You're seeing more stablecoin payments flowing through, solid DeFi platforms actually getting traction, some AI-related transactions and tools popping up, plus real apps that people use beyond just buying and selling. Even micropayments, those tiny transactions that add up at scale, are starting to make sense because Solana's so damn cheap and quick. This flips the whole narrative. The network isn't just a playground for gamblers anymore. It's handling actual activity that people and businesses need. And that creates steady, ongoing demand, not just spikes during pump seasons, but consistent flow year-round. Bottom line, when a project graduates from hype machine to real utility engine, that's when the durable, long-term growth kicks in. Not the flashy moonshots, but the kind that actually lasts and builds value over time. All this real use stuff ties straight back to one of Solana's killer edges, something dead simple but insanely powerful: fees. On Solana, a transaction costs basically nothing. We're talking fractions of a cent, like way under 1 cent most of the time. You can send cash, hit up apps, do a bunch of moves in a row, and it barely registers on your wallet. Now stack that against something like Ethereum. When things get busy, one single transaction can run you several dollars, sometimes 10 or 20 if it's peak chaos. That might not sound huge at first glance, but think real world. If you're trying to build an app where users are making frequent little payments, tipping content, or interacting constantly, high fees straight up murder the idea. It kills user experience and adoption dead. But on Solana, it just works. Those near zero fees unlock whole new categories of stuff. Micropayments for articles, videos, or services, pay a few cents without blinking, AI agents auto-paying for compute or data, apps where people click and interact non-stop without fee anxiety. Most people obsess over price charts, but what really fuels massive, sustainable growth is usage at scale. And low fees make that usage effortless and cheap. It might not scream exciting on the surface, but this is the quiet advantage that could let Solana eat into huge chunks of the internet economy over time. And yeah, the thing most traders notice first: momentum. Even killer fundamentals won't move price until the vibe in the market shifts. Right now, that shift is underway. Solana's been pushing above some key resistance levels lately. Nothing insane, but in trading world, breaking those is usually the first whisper that sellers are getting tired and buyers are taking over. On top of that, indicators like RSI and MACD are starting to curl up positive. You don't have to be a TA wizard to get it. It just means the short-term energy is building in the right direction. Not full-blown explosion yet, but definitely trending healthier. Trader behavior's following too. More folks opening long positions, betting on upside instead of downside. Put it together, breakouts, improving tech signals, traders positioning for gains, and the bigger picture starts emerging. Sentiment's moving from fear and doubt to, hey, this might actually be an opportunity. It's gradual, not overnight, but it's clear and it's happening. All right, before we get too hyped, let's stay grounded. Nothing here is a sure thing. Crypto never is. A few real risks could derail this. First, network hiccups. Solana's come a long way on reliability, but if outages or slowdowns creep back in, even once in a while, it can rattle confidence fast. Trust gets dinged in this space, and price feels it quick. Second, competition doesn't sleep. Ethereum's grinding away with upgrades. Other chains are getting better every day. If devs and users start jumping ship, Solana's growth slows, demand drops, price stalls. Third, regulation wildcard. Crypto's still the Wild West. New rules could drop anytime, especially around ETFs, DeFi, or stablecoins. Tight regs could choke inflows or scare off big money. So yeah, upside's there, but risk is baked in. That's crypto. Wrapping it all up, based on what we're seeing today in March 2026, a solid, realistic landing spot for your 100 SOL by end of the year puts you around $25,000 to $30,000. That's the balanced middle path we've been talking about. But if those catalysts we covered actually fire together, stronger real adoption, steady institutional money piling in, momentum building, it doesn't cap there. It pushes higher, potentially into that $40,000 plus zone or beyond. At the end of the day, it's not just where does Solana go? It's, are you already holding before the next leg up hits? And if you're interested in the system I mentioned earlier for building a faceless crypto YouTube channel, you can find more details in the description below. The program is built to help you create an additional cash flow stream and avoid the mistakes I had to learn the hard way through years of running YouTube channels. Visit michaelinvests.io. And last thing before we wrap this up, none of this is financial advice. Zero. Zilch. Not even a little bit. Everything we've gone over, the scenarios, the price ranges, the catalysts, all of it is just me laying out what the data, trends, and on-chain stuff look like right now in March 2026. It's a snapshot of how things are lining up today. But crypto, man, it doesn't move in neat little straight lines. Shit can flip on a dime. A setup that feels bulletproof this week could look totally different in a month or two. Black swans, macro surprises, random news drops, it happens all the time. So please don't treat any of those numbers as locked-in guarantees or predictions you can bank on. They're educated possibilities based on current vibes, not promises carved in stone. At the end of the day, this is just info to help you think clearer. Your calls, your wallet, your responsibility. That's it from me. If you're holding those 100 SOL or thinking about it, hope this breakdown gave you some solid food for thought. Hit me in the comments if you want to dive deeper on any part. Appreciate you watching till the end.